Good morning, Church of the Good Shepherd friends. I am ready to start a whole new year in Sunday school. And I think Miss Tracy and I have some very fun plans in store to make this the best year ever. Speaking of Miss Tracy, I actually just got a letter from her and I would love to share it with you. Let's see here. Have y'all ever gotten a letter in the mail? It's pretty fun. It's more fun than getting an email. All right, Miss Tracy says, "Dear Melanie, it's been so long since I've seen you. I don't even know where to start. First of all, I hope you and the family are doing well, staying safe, and as sane as possible. I'm trying. Some days were easier than others during this COVID summer. Man, isn't that true? I had some tough times during that quarantine. One thing that helped me early on in the summer was fostering 2 kittens. I can just see that. I can see Miss Tracy with 2 little tiny kittens. Let's see what else she says. Bambi and Jujubee came to live with us for about 6 weeks. It was so fun playing and cuddling with the 2 kittens. They liked to curl up and sleep on my shoulder, which was nice when they were tiny. About a pound at first. Wow, they were little. But as they grew, it got hot, having a bigger kitten sitting on my shoulder. They went to their forever home in late June. So I guess Miss Tracy and Mr. Tim kept them when they were little bitty babies, and then they got adopted, it sounds like. So she had to say goodbye. It was hard to let them go, but I knew they were going to good homes. In late July, I was able to go see Elizabeth. Now, y'all know Elizabeth is Miss Tracy's daughter. And Elizabeth has been away at college this past year in California, all the way across the country. Miss Tracy said, it had been 8 months since I had seen her. Y'all, that is a long time. Boy, did we both need this visit. It was a very different visit, filled with masks. We know about that, don't we? Social distancing and avoiding crowds. But a good visit for us to spend time together. Now, as we begin fall, we are going to foster 2 more kittens. These kittens are among at least 10 that were found at the post office on Assembly Street. They give their birthday as August 1st. Wow. And today is September 13th, so let's see. They'll only be about like 40-something days old. They're little. She says right now they weigh about 1 pound and just started eating wet food. I met with the woman in charge of cat around town today, and tomorrow at 4 she will bring me 2 kittens, Billy and Harry. You think they're boy kittens? I guess Billy is spelled Billie, so I guess Billy could be a boy or a girl, but I'm pretty sure Harry's a boy. I look forward to the time it is safe that we can meet. Sending you lots of virtual hugs, Miss Tracy. Oh, that is so sweet. She took the time to write this and put it in the mail and send it to me. Reading it makes me happy and it helps me know how she's doing. It also makes me want to write her a letter back. Y'all, we are going to try to pair some of you up with pen pals that you can write letters back and forth to at Church of the Good Shepherd. I think it'll be fun. This morning, what I want to let you know is that some of the small books in the Bible are actually letters. The letters we find in the New Testament part of the Bible, and lots of them were written by St. Paul. St. Paul, well, before he was even called a saint, that's a story right there. And we might get into it later because he had a whole different name before he turned into a Jesus follower. But after he did, right after the time when Jesus died, came back to life, and went back to heaven to live, Paul learned of Jesus and actually met Jesus in a miraculous sort of way. And Paul started going around to different cities and starting churches with groups of people. But he wouldn't stay at one church for too long. When they were ready and it was time, and Paul knew that the next place God had on his journey was ready, he would leave them. And he wouldn't see them for sometimes a long time. He did what Miss Tracy, in a little way, did for me. When he was gone from those churches, he would think, I want to tell them some stuff. I want to make sure they know that I remember them and I'm thinking about them. And I want to be sure that they are experiencing some real joy and happiness, because lots of days are hard. Times have been a little hard because of this COVID-19 virus, but there have been hard days throughout all of history. And some of the days during Paul's life were very, very difficult. One letter that Paul wrote to a certain church is one that we're going to be looking at over the next, I'm going to say, 6 weeks. It's not very long, and in our Bible it's divided up into 4 chapters. But when Paul wrote it, he didn't write it on regular paper. He didn't send it to the church through the post office. He wrote it on probably papyrus that was rolled into a scroll. And then he probably had to find a messenger that was where he was that could get that scroll and could take it to where the church was that he was wanting to send the message to. Sometimes I wonder how long it took for Paul to get his letters from place to place. Most of the time, if I put a letter in the mailbox and it is just going as far as my house to Miss Tracy's house, it'll get there in 2 days or less. Lots of times I'll get it in 1 day. But this was a different time. There were no cars, there were no airplanes, there were no trains. So, Paul would have to send his very special message through someone and hope that it got there. And if he got an answer, it would take a long time to get that answer back. The letter we're going to look at was sent to the church in a city called Philippi. And the people there were called Philippians. Now, Paul thought that the Philippians were probably having a hard time finding joy in their lives. And he wrote a letter, in a similar style that Miss Tracy did. It starts out something like dear, and he calls their names, maybe not each and every personal name, but he calls them the saints in the church at Philippi, and he brags on them. And then he tells them some things that he is doing, and he tells them some things that he thinks might help them. And then, like Miss Tracy ended my letter with a little goodbye, Paul ended his letter with a little goodbye also. One thing that's going to be different in Sunday school is that Miss Tracy and I are going to give y'all an assignment. We are going to give y'all a little tiny bit of Paul's letter to the Philippians, and we're going to want you to work on memorizing it. It means you know it by memory. You know it by heart. When we practice something over and over and over again, it really has a deeper meaning for us. All of Paul's letter to the Philippians has to do in some way with finding joy or rejoicing in all kinds of situations. And later this week, Miss Tracy and I are going to send you a video about that vocabulary word, rejoice. What does that mean? Do you know what? Miss Tracy told me ways that she rejoiced this summer. She told me about fostering kittens when she was at home and maybe lonely and bored. She told me about a trip to see Elizabeth, that even though they couldn't do all the things the same way they usually did on visits, she still had a very, very good time. Miss Tracy and I want us all to practice learning to find joy. And we're going to do it by listening to some things in the next few weeks that Paul wrote in his letter to the Philippians. If you would love to have a pen pal at Church of the Good Shepherd, then I would love for you to comment on this video or send Miss Melanie a message. And we're going to find someone in church that you're not seeing right now that you can get letters to and from. And I said that backwards, but you know what I mean. All right? And I think in some of those letters that in getting to know someone, you're going to experience some joy too. I will see you next time.